Okay, well, to be mindful of our time, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everybody, again, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for today's solution webinar. My name is Fernando, and I come with the Region 9 Head Start Association, and I'm happy to be your webinar host today. So feel free to send us any questions or any comments via the chat in the Q&A, and we'll do our very best to address them and help you navigate any travel, any technical difficulties you may have today. Please note that due to the current situation related to COVID-19, our webinar platform Zoom is experiencing a lot of traffic. So if during today's session you experience any lag or any connection issues, we apologize in advance. However, this webinar session is being recorded and will be made available for on-demand consumption within 24 hours. You will find a copy of this recording once it's up and processed and edited up on our YouTube channel, which can be found by going to our website. And I'll make sure to share a link in the chat throughout the session with the link to our website in the recording, so you have that handy and are able to access it as soon as it's ready. Resources tied to this session, such as the PowerPoint slides, a video link, as well as a certificate, will be available at that link as well. So make sure you save that link that I'll be sharing throughout the session today. Just so you know, an email reminder will also go out to all registered participants, whether you attended the live session or not, with this information, with the recording information, with the materials, and all the questions that you perhaps have. Again, we encourage your participation today. Send us your questions via the Q&A, and we'll gather them up, and we will allow the last 5 to 10 minutes of the session, if time permits, to answer them live. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our topic: the future of sanitizing, prevent, prepare, and respond to infectious outbreaks. And our speaker today will be Bill Williams, President at Innovative Healthcare Solutions. Thank you. Take it away, Bill.
Thank you, Fernando. I appreciate it. Hello to everybody out there. First of all, I want to say thank you to Ed and Fernando for allowing us to be participatory in this webinar today. Happy Tuesday to everyone. I hope everyone is doing well, staying safe. I'm sure most all of you are like me, where I am very much looking forward to getting back into the field and being able to talk to people face to face. I miss you, and I'm a people person, so I really have a hard time speaking to this green little light on a constant basis. I need that interaction. So this has to suffice based upon what we're going through today in our country. And I hope you'll find this presentation beneficial to you as we continue to fight viruses and bacteria and the pests that haunt us in our centers. Went too far. There we go. Today, we're going to be talking about the challenges you face. We're going to be talking about, I'm going to give you the answer to it. And then we're going to be talking about the Zono sanitizing system. My company is Innovative Healthcare Solutions. We're the official distributor for the Zono sanitizing system throughout the United States. And we are proud to be associated with all of early child care. So again, thank you for being here. So a couple of things going that I want you to remember. What we're going to try to provide for you today is a new technology that can be used within your arsenal of fighting bacteria and viruses. And I want to give you an analogy. I want to give you a story that I think will sit with most people, particularly if you're of the age that I am. I remember when my mother got her very first washing machine. I still remember the little room outside the patio deck that we put the washing machine in. I remember how it changed her life. And she talked about how it changed her life. Prior to that time, she had been washing clothes by hand. She took that washing machine and went after it right away. And it even changed further when she got her very first dryer. No more hanging things up on the clothesline in the back of the house. those two pieces of technology absolutely changed her life. And she'll admit that it actually did a better job. It saved her time, it saved her energy, it did a better job, and it was convenient. So that same analogy can be applied to what we are providing for you today in your fight against bacteria and viruses in your centers. We hope that you'll see that and remember this little analogy as we go through the presentation. So the challenge, frankly, particularly in the last 6 to 8 weeks, has been that this is just not the normal flu and virus season anymore. We are facing things today in our environment that we don't really know how to handle, that have become disruptive to us in our lives, and certainly our kids that each of you serve. So it's important for us to try to figure out different ways to be able to help you, and that's what our company's here to do. I like to put this slide in this particular presentation. This actually comes from a presentation I did a couple of weeks ago for Region 9 around infectious disease. But I like to bring this one up simply because if you look at all the pests and things that are on these slides, you kind of have to remember that we have to start thinking about different ways of accomplishing the same goal. And I want you to think, Head Start has essentially been sanitizing the same way since 1965. The standard regulations, et cetera, are still on the books. Bleach water and a process that it requires dipping, dunking, air drying, et cetera. Yes, commercial antibacterial, antivirus, sanitizing liquids have come out into the market, but essentially we're doing the same thing we've done since 1965. In addition, for those of you that are concerned about our environment, which I hope most of you are, is that if you think about the 21,000 centers, Head Start centers, just Head Start by itself, not counting all of early childhood, all of early child care, 21,000 centers 2 or 3 times a week, even though it's a tablespoon or teaspoon, have been putting bleach water down the drain when the job is over with. You can imagine what that kind of impact is going to have over a decades-long time frame, and what is that doing to our environment? So the other thing I need to express with this is that organisms tend to adapt, and they adapt to their environments. They also adapt and mutate to those things that they perceive as a threat. So it's the same thing with bacteria, it's the same thing with viruses, that they will continue to adapt to the things that we're doing to them to kill them, and they will continue to be stronger, continue to build up forces within themselves to be able to withstand what we provide to them in order to get rid of them. It's much like the same thing we do as an antibody over time. You know, with this COVID thing, they talk about herd mentality that allows for us to build up antibodies within our own body to be able to fight flu and viruses like this. But this is why COVID-19 has been so dramatic, is that we didn't have that opportunity to build that. And it's so hard on us because it's attacking us, something that has no idea how to fight it. So I like to use the flu shot analogy, is that how many of you out there went and got a flu shot this last year before the flu season hit? I did. And at my age, I go ahead and get one every year. But I did ask my doctor how many, how efficient is this flu shot this year? And he told me that it probably countered about 35 to 40% of the strains that are out there today. And what has occurred over time is the flu vaccines that we make become the flu themselves becomes adaptable and being able to withstand what we do to it. So I'm sure if you ask your doctor the next time, and maybe some of you were told that too when you got your flu shot, that it only impacted about 30 to 40% of what was out there at that particular time. It's sort of the definition of insanity, is that we've been expecting the same outcome over these years, doing the same thing, or we've been expecting a different outcome, over these years at doing the same thing. So it's time that we start thinking about new ways of accomplishing this. And I like to point out too, you may be thinking, all right, why is there a picture of a lice and a picture of a bed bug on this slide? Well, I'm going to tell you a little later, but the Zono has a solution for those pesky pests as well. And then the slide to the right, where you've got an article by Dr. Sanjay Gupta that was done in 2017. This article he came out and talked about the fact that the CDC told us that we were heading toward a pandemic. Well, here we are 4 years later, or 3 years later. So these are the environments that most of you work in. These are the environments that you're having to tackle every day. And I love to take these two pictures because I love to take the little the bouncy toys, the little walkers that the infants use, and the classrooms that you've got over here that are full with all those small, intricate pieces that you have to sanitize. But now it becomes even more important to start getting to the nooks and crannies that it's sometimes impossible to get. And I just ask this question in general, is that how many times do you feel comfortable with the fact that, have you gotten under the table? Have you gotten under the chairs where little hands can go after they've been, got snot all over them? How many times have you been able to get to the nooks and crannies of those walkers? There's so many little bitty places to be able to try to sanitize that. It's almost like it's an impossible task. So hopefully at the end of this, you'll see that we believe we have a solution for you. So the current methods, the things that we've been doing since 1965, we go back to the bleach water. We go back to commercial sprays that kill viruses and bacteria. We can talk about the fact, do those things, and are you able to get to every little nook and cranny? One of the important things to remember about any kind of a spray or even Clorox, when you put it on a countertop or when you're utilizing it to sanitize something or to disinfect something, it's important to remember dwell time. And essentially that means how long that particular product needs to sit on any surface uninterrupted before it actually does its job. So most of you, particularly in the centers, have to go to the closet, reach high up on the shelves, and find, if you're using commercial chemicals, it's important to look on the back of those and be able to see what that dwell time is. It will actually tell you to sanitize. You need to leave this on for 15 seconds. To disinfectant, to get to that level, you need to leave this on for 30 seconds. So most of us grew up spraying 409 or something of that nature on our countertops, wiping them down, and little did we know we weren't really doing anything in terms of killing bacteria and viruses. We were just basically taking liquid and cleaning the top of the counter. So we want you to make sure you understand that dwell time, because it's different with every particular chemical, and it's different for each lot of chemicals. So you need to kind of go back to your centers and identify that, so you know that if you're using those, you're using them correctly. The other piece I think that's important is that in my travels over the years, it's been interesting that I've met a lot of teachers that have respiratory distress syndrome right now. They attribute it to not necessarily, they don't smoke, or do those things, but they have been associated with aerosolized chemical spray over time, as well as fumes from bleach water, etc. Some of them can't be near that anymore because they then have trouble breathing. So, and certainly, as we talked about before, it's not necessarily great for our environment, and it's something we all should be worried about, as well as trying to impact appropriately as we go through our daily tasks these days. So, after those current methods, so when I first started doing this, I started identifying what's the consequences of exposure. And one of my mentors in Head Start, Dr. Irma Ellington, she's in Atlanta, Georgia, sat me down, and I would go to her a lot. She was very helpful in terms of questions that I would have and how to navigate all things Head Start. And she told me one day, I asked her, what is the big deal? I mean, other than a child being sick, no one wants that to happen. Other than that, what is the big issue with having a child not there and being absent? And she said, first and foremost, is that if the kids aren't here, then we as the staff, we as the educators can't do for them what they need to be prepared when they get ready to go to school. And that's your prime purpose, is to help prepare that child. That's why they call it Head Start, to prepare that child to move forward. And then it was an interesting, and I'd never really thought about it before, is that it's the ripple effect that then impacts. How does this child having to go home, if you've got a single parent, if the parent has to go to work, that parent has to stay home. If the parent doesn't have people around them that can help, like grandmothers or et cetera, that parent then has to miss a day of work, and so forth and so on. The parent may get sick. So that ripple effect has a bigger impact than I ever really thought about. So it made us wanting in our company to be able to try as hard as we can to find ways to help you to keep that from happening. So what's the answer? The answer, strictly speaking, is the ozone sanitizing cabinet. So the ozone sanitizing cabinet, we feel like is a perfect addition to your assault on bacteria and viruses, particularly given the times we're in right now. First and foremost, just to let you know, you can see down on the left-hand side of the screen, the Zono is actually registered by the EPA. When we first started getting into the market with early child care, we actually had the units tested at laboratories that were focused on multiple types of bacteria. And then, for instance, at University of Georgia Department of Food and Science Technology, they were one of the identified labs in the country that actually grew viruses to be allow for commercial endeavors like us to be able to have those tested. So once those studies were done, we actually took those studies and gave those to the EPA. And we at Zono now are a regulated device by the EPA. So you can rest assured, despite all the things that are out in the market today, that this particular unit, this ozone sanitizing system, meets the guidelines of the Environmental Protection Agency. So far, to the point that they designated us as the same, have the same impact on viruses and bacteria that bleach does. So one difference in the two studies is important to talk about now. And then that is the differences between sanitizing and disinfecting and then sterilization. Sanitizing, which is pretty much what you see on all the Lysol bottles and Clorox in the grocery stores, et cetera, is 99.9%. the inventor of the Zono, Walter Mann, calls it a function of nines. So sanitizing is a 99.9% kill rate. It means that 99.9% of the bacteria that are have on that particular surface are going to be killed. Disinfecting is a step up, and disinfecting gets to 99.99%. So you got a little bit better impact in terms of disinfectant of the kill rate of both viruses and bacteria. And then of course there's sterilization, which most hospitals deal with, healthcare environments deal with. And that is typically done by a thing called an autoclave that it is gets to incredibly high temperatures that kill everything in sight. And that's 100%. So the reason I bring that up is that we've been identified by the EPA to be able to kill bacteria at 99.9%, and in fact, viruses at 99.99%. So again, we're one of the few certified devices in the country that have that ability to say that and to be able to market that. All right, why ozone? So ozone's been around a long time. Most people think we're talking about up in the sky, the atmosphere, that it's dangerous, and up there, of course it is. But ozone is actually manufactured or made by moving oxygen past ultraviolet light. When that occurs, you get ozone. Oxygen turns into the 3 molecules and becomes ozone. Ozone loves to eat bacteria and viruses. It just loves to destroy them. I call the ozone sort of nature's perfect sanitizer, because what happens is that once that ozone does its job of killing that bacteria molecule or the virus molecule, it dissipates back to oxygen. So it's safe. The fact that we haven't seen something like this before is because of this. What happens is, like, so if you, as you can tell, I'm probably from my speech, you can tell I'm from the South. We have a wasp down here that when bites or stings us, it dies. Just like ozone. When ozone kills that bacteria, it's a 1-for-1 molecule. It dies or dissipates back to oxygen, but it only kills one. So you have to have the right saturation of ozone within the cabinet or any device to make sure that the full surface area of anything that you're putting into that cabinet gets completely covered to get it to be able to say that you're getting 99.9% kill rate on everything that's in there. So what would happen is, if you didn't have the right saturation, you'd have places that would be dead of bacteria and virus, but then you'd have other areas that would have live bacteria and virus going on, which is not appropriate. The idea is you have to get the full surface area, all the nooks and crannies, all the areas that you need to. The other piece that's important is that it's a gas. We use a minute amount of water vapor that is part of the patent pending process that we have. It's sort of the secret sauce. Because of that, it's a gas, and we use that gas now is able to penetrate soft surfaces. So most of the time you're utilizing your particular chemicals or bleach water on hard surfaces. Now we have the opportunity where we can actually help sanitize and disinfect soft surfaces, cushions on chairs, teddy bears, all those kinds of things that you wouldn't think of normally. So it gives us a wider range of being able to take care of things that are in your centers. So once again, it goes back to oxygen, and by the time we open the door to repurpose the things back into the classroom or wherever they might come from, it's completely safe. And as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, that ozone has actually been designated by World Health Organization and the CDC as an efficient sanitizer. And most people don't realize also that it's used in commercial environments and has been used for years. Some examples are here. Municipal water supplies. It's almost used in every sewage treatment plant that's out in the communities. It's used in the meat and poultry industries. And one that I like is that before the bottle cap goes, almost every manufacturer that makes soft drinks, it's splashed and hit with an ozone blast to make sure that there's nothing there at the end that is going to be capped in there with it. It's just an extra precaution. So again, it's why it's a perfect sanitizer. Kills the bacteria, kills the viruses, and then it dissipates back to oxygen to make that safe. All right, this is the open view of the cabinet itself. This is our double door unit, and these are some examples of specific viruses and bacteria that we kill and that we have tested against. And in addition, remember back in the earlier slides, I showed you a picture of a bed bug and lice. We actually provide a heater for those, for all of our customers that can take a 90-minute cycle and then kill bed bugs and lice. So I typically talk to folks, and it's a common thing that is not necessarily if you're ever going to have an outbreak, it is when you're going to have an outbreak. And by the way, this is a great opportunity for some parent engagement time, because here's the challenge. You'll kill lice and bed bugs at the center, but then when the child goes home, they'll bring them right back the next day. So a lot of times folks at home don't have the equipment that is needed to be able to combat the lice and bed bugs, because it requires about 131 degrees to kill them. You have to have a dryer that's big enough to be able to put the things that you need to in it to kill it. You'd have to have a dryer that frankly has the ability to go that high in temperature. And a lot of times that's not possible. And then the only other alternative is a commercial pesticide company, which is expensive. So this is a great opportunity to help educate your parents, as well as offer to them to bring things into your center, to go into the Zono to try to eradicate the lice and bed bugs. Bring in pillows, bring in blankets, cushions, all kinds of things that might feel like they're infected or that you come in contact with on a regular basis, to put them into the Zono, and you kind of get that partnership with your parents to be able to eradicate that problem. So this is a standard supply for every one of our units, is with the heat cycle. All right, this is a slide I love, because most people don't really think about this. I mean, one of the hardest things that we have to do and to accomplish when we come in and we look at all your centers, we make sure that you've got an appropriate workflow plan, that we kind of using an industrial engineering model to identify what is the right workflow for your particular center to utilize the Zono appropriately. But then we also have the challenge of getting folks to think about out of their comfort zone of what they could put into the Zono. Most of the time, you're just thinking about the things that you normally would sanitize by utilizing bleach water or chemicals. But now we've expanded that horizon for you, so where literally anything in your center, and I mean anything, if it will fit into the Zono, can be put in it to sanitize. So things like books. So I got a couple of examples for you. So this is as I got to share this a little bit bigger, so I'm going to open it up. There we go. So this is, I hope I did that right, Fernando. So this is a thing of Play-Doh. How do you sanitize Play-Doh? How do you sanitize crayons? So what most of you tell me, the way to sanitize these is you throw them away. We can actually sanitize these. I can take the crayon that's been in Johnny's mouth, put it into the Zono, 30 minutes later, take it out, give it back to Johnny, and he'll put it back in his mouth, but it'll be absolutely fine. Then I love to take this piece, this toy. So inside, you can't necessarily put this in bleach water. You'll get bleach in the middle. Then it'll be hard. How do you do this? How do you get this sanitized to an appropriate level? And then last, my buddy Teddy, you wash Teddy. That's really the only way to sanitize it. So did you know that we can put this in the Zono and sanitize Teddy and the thing that will help is that over time, Teddy won't be deteriorated by the fact that you had to wash him so much. Ozone will not harm anything that you put in it. So these were just some examples of the things to think about. So again, going back to this, anything, cots, mats, cribs, easels, high chairs. I love car seats. We put car seats in the Zono. Some of our centers have identified during orientation to tell their parents, hey, bring your car seats in, we'll sanitize them for you. And then during the year, they can come in once a month, and if they want them sanitized and it can have the opportunity to wait for it for 30 minutes, get a little volunteer time. And then the one that people don't really realize is, things like your keypads, electronics, phones, the little computers that the kids use, headphones, any electronic can go in. I put my phone in it every chance I get. I put my laptop in it every time I'm around one. Will not hurt it at all. Another example would be, particularly in the winter, when kids come in with jackets and hats and gloves. And, I had a couple of customers tell me that they're tired of the coats reeking of cigarette smoke, or unfortunately, sometimes other kinds of smoke. Well, put them in the Zono, 30 minutes later, they'll come out, they won't look new, but all the odor will be gone. Everything in there, you won't smell that anymore. So it really opens up your horizon of the things that you can put in. Area rugs, roll them up, have about a 32nd of an inch in between the layers of the roll, and the gas will permeate and sanitize that area rug. I have centers that actually put their fake and real potted plants in the Zono once or twice a month, just to make sure. Again, if it will fit, put it in the Zono. You're going to be thankful you did. A couple other suggestions. I just saw my notes. Sand. Most of you throw away sand. If you take something and put it on a tray, like a cooking sheet or something that's bigger than that, and spread it out, the sand will get sanitized. It will be there, and certainly you don't have to throw it away. I had a customer that called me and wanted to know if they could put toothbrushes in the Zono. Absolutely, can do that. Again, anything can go in. All right, easiest 1, 2, 3. I'm going to show you a little video here. Hope this works, Fernando. Hopefully this video will kind of let you have the opportunity to see, and it'll kind of come together of the things that we've been talking about.
The Zono sanitizing cabinet has given Head Start centers a major advantage by revolutionizing the way they sanitize the majority of their items. It's quick, it's easy, and teachers love it. The Zono comes in 2 sizes, a single door and a double door. Everything your staff needs to make it easy is included. Trays and cards make it a snap to wheel in and out an array of different items. From books, crayons, electronics, and soft toys to mats, cots, car seats, and area rugs. It is only limited by your imagination. And the beauty, it all can go in at the same time. When ready, the doors are shut and the process is started. 30 minutes later, the process is done and everything is ready to go back into the classroom. There is no dunking in harsh chemicals, no rinsing, and no drying. The Zono also has a 90-minute heat cycle, which kills lice and bed bugs. The cabinet plugs into a regular outlet and uses less than 3 cents of electricity per cycle. To learn more about how the Zono sanitizing cabinet can help your center decrease illness and outbreaks, please go to our website at www.zonoheadstart.com.
All right, let's get, so here's some statistics. Right now, we came to the Head Start market a couple of years ago. We've been in for-profit childcare for almost 10 years. There's actually over 600 units being used in the for-profit childcare market out there today in the United States. Since coming to Head Start, I believe that we have a lot more opportunity to help you than necessarily for profit, and for the things that you have to be mindful of. So we actually have over 100 centers now in little less than 2 years that have gone and started using the Zono in their centers for sanitizing, disinfecting against bacteria and viruses. The information we're getting coming back from those centers is that inherently, if you do it the way we train, if you actually implement the workflow solution plan we put in place, that your average daily attendance percentages will go up. We're seeing customers that have seen dramatic decreases in chemical spend over a 6-month period. We've seen the same customers say that they have a line item for substitute teachers that they no longer had to spend because their teachers weren't sick. So, and to give you some examples of this, we've got a multitude of people and customers that would be happy to talk to anybody in the Northeast, in the South, in the Midwest. I even have some out in Utah. We've got one customer out in Washington State, or excuse me, in Oregon. So we're all over the United States, and I have those same customers that would be happy to talk to anybody. What I love about Head Start and early child care market itself is that you love to talk to and help each other. You don't mind, yes, there's always a little competition out there, but it's really all, again, about the kids and being able to serve them. And if we find solutions that will help you do that for a healthy learning environment, for example, you don't mind sharing. So we have many that have agreed to talk to anyone. So just let us know. We'll put you in touch. We'll give you the list. You can pick on your own and give them a call. So and one of the final things that it was unknown to us when we first started taking this to Head Start, but what's been fun is that the teachers now, at the end of the day, really get a chance to do a proper lesson plans, parent engagement. They get to do the things that they wanted to do instead of sanitizing and spending time with that. And as many have told me, they used to take these things home with them to accomplish this at the end of the day. They go home and do them. Now they get to do those within the confines of their center because we basically have given them back about an hour a day is what the data started coming out with. So again, if you want to know those customers, we're happy to share them with you, and they'll be proud to tell you how they've utilized the Zono within their particular units. The detail, again, it's again about the size of a commercial refrigerator. The single door is a smaller unit. The difference between the two is not really that much, other than from a workflow perspective. If you've got 50 or less kids in your centers, single door will be fine. If you've got more than 50 children, then particularly that really we recommend the double door with that. They're not that much difference in price because it's essentially just the door and some sheet metal. The sort of the guts of it are in both of them. As the video said, it's a regular outlet, just like a blender. It uses only about 3.5 cents a cycle a day. So if you're using it twice an hour, 8 hours a day, you're talking about 48 cents. Completely eco green. Ozone dissipates back to oxygen, so there's no residue for wiping things off. There's no residue in the air. And those trays that you saw on the carts, those become the new yuck buckets in the classroom. We find that probably 3 or 4 is the right number for early Head Start because of the amount of mouthy pieces that you have to deal with. And then maybe 2 or 3 at the most would be appropriate for the toddler classrooms. And so those become the new yuck buckets. We work out a workflow plan for you that typically someone once or twice a day will grab the cart. I have bus drivers doing them. I have parent volunteers. I have the floaters. I have admin people. It just depends upon what resource you have available. For about 15 minutes is what it takes. Get that cart, go around to the classrooms, knock on the door. The teachers inside the classroom hand the tray. No ratio issues that we're dealing with at that point. The tray is labeled with your classroom on it. Take this to the Zono. 30 minutes later, you can repurpose it back into the classroom, or wait till the next time, let's say at 1 o'clock after lunch or something like that. Then at the end of the day is when you have an opportunity to get the bigger things in there that you want to sanitize. As an example, we can take 2 classrooms of early Head Start cots, stack them, and in 30 minutes they're sanitized. I can take about 12, depending upon the manufacturer, of the toddler Head Start classrooms and line them up vertically in the unit and sanitize them in one cycle for 30 minutes. So it's things like that that you want to put in, or take the things that are big that they climb in. All those little red chairs, the little chairs that sit around the table, stack them up, put them on the cart, roll them into the unit, and in 30 minutes, they're all sanitized. So again, using your imagination of how we can, and we, on our website, have, we're starting to get more and more pictures of how people have used their own ingenuity to figure out different ways of getting things into the Zono. Again, non-toxic, it comes out dry and there's not anything to wipe down. And then again, back to that parent engagement piece with the strollers, car seats, blankets, etc. All right. If you're interested, I have to call out our friend, Mr. Dave Scahill from Discovery Source. Dave and his son, Sean, are our key go-to people out in Region 9 in the West Coast. But I know that there's probably people on here that are outside of Region 9. And certainly we welcome you to go to our website. You can reach all of us, any of us, by going to our website and just send us a note. We'll get back in touch with you. And particularly during this time right now, we've gotten a number of customers that have reached out with the grants that are going on with the CARES Act. There was one that specifically spoke to the prevention and the work to be done against the coronavirus that had Zono spelt all over it. So get in touch with us. Let us know how we can help you. I hope that you've seen something that's interesting for you. And I really, again, appreciate your attention and appreciate you coming on to the webinar. Fernando, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yes, thank you, Bill. Thanks for the wonderful presentation and valuable information. I just want to thank everybody for your patience. I know there was a lot of issues coming in into the session due to the maximum capacity. We appreciate your interest. Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties this morning with Zoom when we were trying to up our maximum capacity. But rest at ease, we recorded this session and we will make sure to clean it up and put it up on our website as soon as possible. And that way you can rewatch it, or if you know someone, some of your peers that were not able to watch it live, make sure to share that the link that I'm about to share on the chat with them, and that's where the recording will be housed. If you are looking for the PowerPoint slides, as well as any other resources, like the contact information to Bill and Dave, go to that link I just shared on the chat as well. That's where all the resources, including the certificate of participation, that's where it's all being housed at. So again, I want to thank Bill and everybody for your patience. It looks like we do have time for some questions. We do have quite a large queue of questions, so I'm going to try my best to pick some of them and then forward the rest of them to Bill and see if he can respond to some of them. So the first question asks, Is this product allowed in California due to ozone regulations?
Actually, yes. The short answer is yes. Main reason why is because there is no leakage. There's no ozone that gets into the environment at all. By the time the door, it allows you to open the door, all that ozone has been dissipated back to oxygen. So there's absolutely zero going into the environment. So yes, it does meet those guidelines.
Great. So next question. How much is the Zono cost? Because if it is too much, our center will not be able to purchase.
Good question. So the double door unit comes complete with all the accessories and everything you need is $22,277. The single door unit is $18,797. A lot of people are putting them in their CARES Act grants. We've had tremendous amount of, which we're thankful for, tremendous amount of interest. The other thing we do offer that we've been offering for a couple of years now is a rental program that actually is $399 a month for either unit. That $399 gets you below your $5,000 per year threshold issue that you have to stay under before having to have something approved. And I will tell you that it is a real rental program. The Office of Head Start said that anytime you're looking at a lease or a rent to own, that is a capital purchase and still would need to be approved. So this is one of those that is it's only a 6-month term. We ask you to keep it 6 months. After that, you can return it or you can keep it for another 100 months. It's up to you, and it will always be $399. And by the way, when it is rented, it's always 100% bumper to bumper warranty.
Perfect. What types of materials can you put in the cabinet? For example, paper, plastic, glass?
All those. So all of those can go. Like I said before in the slides, toothbrushes. So paper, plastic, wood, metal, synthetic, fabric. There's nothing, again, in your center that you can ask me, can I put this in the Zono? And I will not say no, unless I can't put the kids in. That's a joke, but I can't put the kids in. But anything else we can put into the Zono.
Perfect. So let me scroll down and see if I can find a different question. Does the Zono need much maintenance?
Oh, good question. Absolutely no. The only thing that is required once a year is for us to change the ozone sensor in the unit. The ozone sensor is only $250. While it's under warranty, that is a it's freely done every year. We'll change those sensors. We keep up with also when it's time to change the sensor, so we'll let you know. After the warranty's over, and if you don't want to look at an extended warranty, again, it's only $250, and that then would include, we'll need to add some travel on it to it, and we would do it for you. That's the extent of the maintenance, other than keeping the little water bottle full. Other than that, if you want to use some stainless cleaner to keep it looking pretty every now and then, that's fine.
Great. Next question asks, how often is using the Zono suggested weekly?
So in times like we have today, one of the things that we had to help with when we first came to market was that if you're going to just do nothing but take the Zono and supplant it with what you did with bleach water, you're not going to necessarily get the dramatic increases in productivity, the ADA, this chemical spend, et cetera, that you want. So by coming in, we help you with the workflow plan, and it really is best to use it at least 2 times a day during the week. It's just like anything else with this kind of stuff. More is better. I have centers right now that particularly are getting ready to go back in. They're taking everything they can possibly put into the Zono, sanitizing it, and then sort of checking off the room that it's sanitized and ready to go. And then when school comes back in, they will probably be doing it 2 or 3, maybe sometimes even 4 times a day with as much stuff as they can muster into the Zono, just to make sure that they're getting everything taken care of and kill as much as possible. Remember, going back, less bacteria, less virus means less exposure.
Okay, someone asked on the chat, what does Zono stand for?
It's actually just, it came from the ozone. The inventor came up with the word Zono from the fact that it's utilizing ozone as its key proponent. And that's sorry, it's not really exciting.
Next question, is this FDA approved?
It is. It's not used in an FDA function because it's not a health care device, depending on how this is actually identified, like you would see with, say, an EKG machine, for example, that goes into a hospital. That has to have an FDA approval. We are identified by the EPA as a pest control device, believe it or not. And yes, we are approved from that perspective to be able to work in this environment.
Does natural ozone outside naturally sanitize playground equipment?
I say that again, ask that again, Fernando.
Yes, so the question reads, does natural ozone outside naturally sanitize playground equipment?
The short answer is no, and here's why. And it's because, going back to that discussion around saturation. So you'll see commercials, particularly I've seen them now, where I saw one the other day where a robot was going down a hall in a hospital with an ultraviolet light on both sides. Yes, that was creating ozone, but it wasn't creating enough ozone, or the property of ozone was not enough to saturate all the surrounding area. So ozone in the atmosphere, like after a lightning storm, lightning will actually create ozone. You can actually smell it. It will sanitize kind of what it hits, but because it goes back to oxygen, one for one, molecule to molecule, then it really, you can't say that it actually sanitizes outdoors. That, by the way, that saturation level inside the cabinet is not something we could breathe. That's another function to believe. So by the time the cabinet in 30 minutes at the end of the cycle, the sensor actually identifies that there's no more ozone, it's safe to open the door.
Will there be discounts to family childcare providers or grants for this Zono?
Well, the current grants, current process with the CARE Act, there are those, many people are utilizing those from a health and safety perspective and from a quality perspective to be able to identify the Zono as something to be used for the grants. So that's sort of the short answer there. We do provide quantity discounts. We know that there's a lot of grantees that have multiple sites. So we obviously, it's to our best interest and to theirs to get as many into their centers as possible. So yes, we do provide some different kinds of volume discounts as well.
What happens to the food, paint, etc. that was on the spoiled toys?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
What happens to the food, paint, etc. that was on the spoiled toys?
Actually, it doesn't do anything to them. I mean, other than it's sort of that perspective around sanitizing dirt. I mean, it's still dirt, but I can sanitize it. I give an example. I also have done this where we've gone to shows with the Zono and put an apple into the Zono. And we'll put 3 or 4 apples, and the guys that all of us in the booth, once the Zono is finished, we actually will eat the apple for everybody just to prove that it's not harmful. So it won't destroy paint. It's kind of like I said before, where when you're putting the crayons and Play-Doh and the teddy bear and the things that over time, either you can't sanitize with chemicals or wet function, or you put them in a washing machine, they're gonna, over time, that will break down. the ozone will not break any kind of property down to where, in fact, we've had centers now say they aren't buying as many replacement toys as they used to.
Do you have recommendations for organizations that had several locations but not the funds to buy several units?
Yeah, it is designed to be in a particular center, and that one's dedicated to that particular center. I mean, we've got grantees that have probably my largest one that has as many as they do today has 28, and they've got them in 28 different centers. It's just a matter of picking the ones that you think you need to use them, that need that additional help the most. And maybe even starting there. I mean, we certainly have a number of centers that started with one or two, and I'm proud to say that over the years that we've got a number of grantees that actually have one in every one of their centers.
Is the Zono OSHA approved?
We have submitted an approval process to OSHA, and I have to actually give a little bit of ignorance on that one. I don't exactly know where that is as to date, but I can, if that person would get in touch with me, I'll be happy to find out from the inventor who still is with the manufacturer in Atlanta.
Great. We have time for a few more questions. Does the Zono have an odor?
You will be, yes, you will be able to smell a little odor at the end of the cycle when you open it up. I will tell you, some people like it because they say it smells like the outdoors. Some people don't like it. It's just like interesting to me when I do presentations in the conferences. I'll ask how many of you like the smell of bleach, and people will raise their hands. I can't stand it. But yes, you'll have a very faint odor that you'll be able to tell that it ran. But beyond that, that's it. It's never really bothered anybody to the point where they couldn't be around it.
Can we use ozone UV to sanitize the classroom itself?
There are commercial products out there, but they again go back. Remember, Zono right now is the only one that's actually been tested in an environment against bacteria and virus, period. There are products out there, and I'll give you an example. In a locker room, there's a company that makes a small unit that blows oxygen or ozone generated air. And you can smell it if you go into the locker room. The challenge again is, because it's a one molecule to one molecule kill rate, is that you'll have other bacteria and virus that is in their atmosphere. And yes, you will kill some of them, but you won't kill all of them. There is one way to do that. And we actually do provide, particularly in sports, we will provide what's called Zono rooms. They'll take a small room or a large closet, will come in, seal it off, put an ozone generator in the roof, roll things in, turn it on overnight, and the next morning everything in the room's been sanitized.
Great. Just to be mindful of our time, if you have any other questions, Bill's information is on the screen, so make sure you send him a note. We're also available here at the Region 9 Head Start Association. So if you go to our website and send us an email, we're happy to forward that to Bill to get your questions answered. I just want to thank Bill again for his time and information, everybody for your patience and for tuning in. An email has gone out with all this information regarding the certificate of participation, regarding the recording and where to watch it, and how to get a hold of the PowerPoint slide. So make sure you watch for that email coming in. Other than that, I just want to thank everybody again. And I hope to see you on the next session. Thanks, everybody. Thanks again, Bill.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. Be safe.